Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, and I do have me a cup of coffee this afternoon. I have a misto, which is just brewed coffee and steamed milk. So it's half brewed coffee, half steamed milk. It's one of my favorite. And when I got home from work, I had a couple little tasks to do. It's Friday for me. What day you're seeing this, I'm not sure, but figured a cup of coffee wasn't gonna hurt. If it kept me awake a little bit longer tonight, that is totally fine because I have very little going on this weekend other than D&D, and I am going to finish making one of my D&D guys his birthday present, as well as making a fruity pebble lemon cheesecake. So he said he really likes lemon, and he said he's had a fruity pebble cheesecake before, and I feel like it's gonna go pretty well together. So we're definitely gonna give it a try, see how it goes. I love baking and creating. I've got some sourdough currently working on its first proof in my kitchen right now. So we'll see how that goes. But let us dive into the first book of the afternoon, which is Vanya and the Wild Hunt. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is just book one, and it does sound as though we may get more adventures in the future. Now, when you look this title up, it does not currently say first of a series, but the way things get left off, it does feel as though we are not quite done exploring everything for sure. There is a lot to unravel. There is a lot to figure out at the end of this book. But it is a really fun middle grade book, and it's a fantasy. And so if you like magical schools and if you like those sorts of things, then this may be up your alley. So let's dive in. So Vanya and the Wild Hunt is by Sangu Mandana, and it is expected publication of March 11th of 2025. It does currently have about 4.5 stars on Goodreads, which I concur with is what I was going to say, but then I started saying currently, and that's just not the right word, but concur with the 4.5 stars. I was very entertained. So let's see the summary real quick. Let's click that little show more. Usually I'm on my tablet to kind of read the Goodreads synopsis as I'm talking to you all, but this morning I thought I plugged it in knowing I was going to record and did not plug it into the wall. I only plugged it into the tablet itself. So the 1% battery that was remaining was not going to get me through an episode. We are using my tiny little phone. Amari and the Night Brothers meets Nevermore in this enchanting middle grade fantasy inspired by Indian mythology and British folklore about a neurodivergent heroine, a mysterious school, and a world of magical creatures. 11-year-old Vanya Vallon has always felt like she doesn't fit in. She's British Indian in a mostly white town in England. Her parents won't talk about their past, and she has ADHD. Oh, and she talks to books. More importantly, the books talk back. When her family's attacked by a monster she believed only existed in fairy tales, Vanya discovers that her parents have secrets and that there are a lot more monsters out there. Overnight, she's whisked off to an enchanted library and a school of Oromare, where she joins the ranks of archwitches and archivists. Life at Oromare is unexpected, exciting, and wonderful, but even here, there's no escaping monsters. The mysterious, powerful Wild Hunt is on the prowl, and Vanya will need all her creativity and courage to unmask its leader and stop them before they destroy the only place she's ever truly belonged. From the critically acclaimed author of the Kiki Kailira series, I hope I'm saying that correctly, because it sounds really cool just by the title, series, and the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I know I've seen that come up before, the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which just makes me want to go find that book even more. I think one of my friends in Chicago may have recommended that book, so apparently I'm going to need to go dive into that. I think that's a little more YA, if not adult, but this one comes as an action-packed magical middle grade, perfect for fans of Rick Riordan. And I'm not going to say the other author's name because I just don't support some of their views. But that's just me. And anyway, this is 288 pages in hardback. I did have a the audiobook. I had the audiobook, which I want to say was somewhere around 9.5 hours. And again, it is expected publication on March 11th of 2025. I do, in fact, give this book about 4.5 stars. I was very entertained. I was kind of left guessing as to what was happening, or not what was happening, left wondering who this Wild Hunt individual might be for quite a while. I did kind of figure it out. It is middle grade, so I'm not, it's not an Agatha Christie whodunit. So the mystery of who it might be may reveal itself to people who have read a lot of like mysterious suspense sort of books. It may reveal itself pretty quickly for those readers. However, I really just I consumed this book very quickly. I want to say I started it about the day before I went to my mom's, and then I finished it on the drive over there and was very, very happy about the way it turned out. So let's start with Vanya, and we first see her in her parents' more or less like bookshop, library area, and she's talking to some books. There are some specific books that do talk back to her. Now, not all books do it because there are some, I guess you could call them mundane books, but there are some specific books that will talk. And the thing is that she hasn't mentioned this to her parents that they can talk or that she talks to them. So one day she is going to school and she forgets something. It's something that her mom, I think it might have been her homework on her desk. So she's like, oh crap, I got to go back and turn around. And she does have ADHD, which is, I don't want to say it's a key point in the book, but I think it does. She recognizes it in herself. I assume at one point or another. Oh, yes, no. She must have gone and gotten diagnosed because they do bring a note to her school so she can have a little bit of extra grace when it comes to the way she needs to process some of her schoolwork. And so one of the teachers must be a very hard-nosed teacher, and there was a teacher in my high school who was very like that, and she was a math teacher. But this particular teacher of Vanya's doesn't seem like as though she would really care that Vanya has ADHD. Doesn't seem as though she might really accommodate to this diagnosis. But anyway, I'm not saying Vanya makes it like a personality asset or a personality aspect, but in a way she kind of does. And I'm not saying it's negative anyway. I do think the author highlights it as a way to kind of help explain some of Vanya's I guess mannerisms. But I think saying it once or twice is fine. But I don't know if we need to, like, when we meet a new friend in the book, if we just like, oh, by the way, I have ADHD. And it's like, okay, yeah, well. And then one of the other guys is like, I have autism. So I don't know. I didn't know if she was trying to use it as a wall for Vanya or an excuse for Vanya. But I think Vanya being able to be open about it is a very good thing. So she can help the people around her. Not so much, I guess, accommodate, but to better understand maybe what Vanya is trying to do when she's processing certain things. Itchy tags in a shirt, or itchy seams in a shirt, or the way she needs her bedroom to be set up, those sorts of things. But I will say I loved most of the characters. They were really, really phenomenally done. In some magic school books, you frequently get a teacher who is very gruff, very, I don't want to say rude, but it's like, why are you teaching kids when you seem to hate kids? That sort of kind of mindset. And I feel like when she gets to the school, that doesn't really happen, which I like. The school is very accommodating. The school is very much a welcoming place for her. And I like that it's not so abrasive or adversarial in a lot of different ways. It seemed like her world when she was in England was a little more abrasive and adversarial rather than when she goes to this school. And I don't know, maybe they are just more accepting of the differences in people because they are a magical school. But Vanya comes into this school and she's not great at certain, like, I mean, and that's a good thing. She's not great at everything right off the bat, and I like to see it that a especially like this 11-year-old kid is not going to be perfect at everything, but she does seem to be good at other things. And one thing she can do is talk to books, where we do learn many of the kids in the school are not going to be able to do that for quite a few years. Vanya's just had a lot of exposure because of her parents and her exposure to those books in that particular bookshop. Well, the others, like some of the other students, don't have that aspect or attribute because they didn't have that same level of exposure. And some students are going to be a little gruff or kind of bully-ish, but I feel like that's not really a big deal. And I'm not saying it's not a big deal in this book. I just don't feel like the author makes it like a huge thing where Vanya's getting picked on all the time. She's not. Now, there is one particular kid who is cursed, and he gets picked on a little bit. So it seems as though he gets kind of made fun of, which he can't help. He's been cursed by, I think his mom was cursed, which passed to him. But anyway, I liked the discussions that, like, these kids are all, they're not all cookie cutter. They are very different. The school seems to be set in India, which and they're able to access through magical doorways, kind of like unfolding doorways, and they seem to be able to access other parts of the world through these unfolding doorways as well. So that was a really cool thing. I do like how the author does take and make some new-ish sort of magical schooling things happening, and it sounds like it's like their little place with animal familiars. Like they've got kind of a little, let's just say, barn or stable where these animal familiars stay or go before they've been chosen to like choose their people. Well, it's funny because Vanya and her class, they get to go and they get to kind of see what animal is going to be their familiar. And so Vanya's walking around, and I don't really think this is a spoiler. I think it was cute. Vanya's walking around, and this goose starts like pointing at different things, like, "Oh yeah, this is this, and that is that." And Vanya's like, "Oh, cool." And so she's like, "Oh, this goose must be like whoever the animal caretaker is like familiar because they're so knowledgeable about everything going on." And I take that back. It's not a goose. It's a swan, but if the poor little goose had heard me, poor little swan heard me say it was a goose, then it would be very upset and probably ruffled some feathers. But it was just funny because that was kind of some little commentary in the book, and really cute. Now this swan is very sassy and funny and fun and kind of, I don't want to say abrasive, but I think the swan says the things that Vanya sometimes thinks or is a little bit more bold. So anyway, does become Vanya's familiar, and they, of course, the swan seems to be the one that encourages her to do, I don't want to say shady things, but maybe slightly rule bending sort of things. It is very, very fun. Overall, I really like this book. I thought it was very cute. Again, an 11-year-old taking off on a, let's just say, magical deer from the woods to go face off against the wild hunt by herself is literally like, it's I guess it's one of the biggest tropes I've seen in middle grade is these 11-year-olds acting like adults, thinking that they have to solve the world's problems. And they I think that's my biggest frustration is I don't get it, because I think when I was 11 I was like, I would have been like, I need an adult. I can't like, great, I want to go try to help, but I'm 11. I don't think I should be doing this by myself, sort of thing. I really, really like it. Now, I do see somebody else who says they're already eagerly awaiting book 2, and they say we have to wait a year to get it. So that's a little sad that we have to wait a whole year to get it, but I am willing to wait because I think this book was, like I said, fun. It was good. There's some self-acceptance, there's magic, there is friendship, there is family, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. I like that there's it's not emotional, but there are some maybe heartstring tugging parts, but nothing too heavy hitting, and definitely a fairly easy read. I would say like Amari and the Night Brothers was really good, and I enjoyed that one as well. So I would put this in that category of being just kind of like this fun magical school adventure that I hope to see more from in the very near future. And it sounds like we will, so I'm pretty excited about that. But with all of that being said, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I hope you'll like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one.